Hi, I'm Patrick Hollick, and this is a new episode of The Love Show. I'm not used to Zoom, so excuse all the mistakes I'm going to make. It's more important that I have my guest on is an old friend of mine named Shreni Zinzuwadia, and she's on the front lines in New York City at three different hospitals. And I decided it would be a good time and a good episode to call her and ask what's going on from being, foot on the ground and in the ER. Oh gosh, over 15 hours a night at this point. So I'm not going to do a long intro. This is technically the COVID-19 episode. I'm in a bunker somewhere in Bel Air, California. Uh, it's been real. Uh, I've been dealing with it by doing 2-hour walks, eating better, meditating, reaching out, talking to people, seeing where I could be helpful and what we can do. And I'd like to just quickly say I'm sorry for everyone out there with tremendous losses because there is a lot of that. Um, and we're all just trying to understand and keep our heads on. Okay, let's start again. Welcome to the Love Show. This is my unorthodox first Zoom meeting. How do you pronounce your name?
First name is Shreni and last name is Zinzuwadia.
And where are you right now? In your office?
Yep, I'm in my office in my house in New Jersey.
New Jersey. And where have you been working? What hospital are you working at?
I work at three different hospitals mostly. Newark Beth Israel in Newark, New Jersey, which is right in the heart of the city. And then I work in two outer areas. Union, New Jersey, it's a suburban hospital, and Overlook in Summit. They're both Overlook hospitals. One is in Summit and one is in Union.
Okay. You look great for someone that hasn't slept for like 3 to 4 weeks. How long have you been having these weird hours?
Yeah. Are you asking me how the weird hours are?
No, I've been saying how long has it been that you've been under this crazy pressure and these hours and this like
Oh.
the pandemic?
Yeah, the pandemic kicked off the last 2 weeks. It feels like a lot longer, but I feel like in actuality, the last 2 weeks in New Jersey have been absolutely crazy. And it happened really, really fast. Like, first we were just kind of watching and listening to everything rolling out, in China and Italy, and it seemed so far away. It didn't seem like it was gonna. We're very, very relaxed. ER doctors are usually, it takes a lot to get us freaked out.
That
And
would
then
be a
when
good question that I haven't asked. You're an ER doctor?
Yes, so I'm an
Oh,
emergency medicine physician, board certified. I've been
okay.
doing this for 14 years. I went to med school in Newark, New Jersey at New Jersey Med School, and then I trained in the Bronx, Jacobi Montefiore, and then came back to Jersey. So it's been like 14 years all in all doing this work.
Wow.
Yeah. So the hours are not new because ER doctors have to work nights, weekends, and days. It's just kind of unless you are majorly senior or have administrative duties, you do that. You do that rotation: nights, weekends, days, and it's just part of the job.
Wow.
So that part's not new. The new part, I think, is that since the pandemic, a lot of people. Uh, it's kicking up how many doctors are getting exposed and have to self quarantine. So
Hmm.
the rest of us who aren't getting, who don't have it, have to pick up the slack and work extra.
And at
That's
this point, you don't have anything and you're not quarantining.
Nope. I don't have
No.
any symptoms, and I'm not quarantined, and I feel good. Thank
What's
God.
the process like when you get to work? Do you have to wear that whole like, the hazmat or how's it going? Like you come
Yeah.
in, tell me what a day's like.
Yeah, so that's been evolving too. So, at first it was like, it's coming, let's put on some masks if we're worried about somebody with symptoms. So at first it was like, oh, if somebody has symptoms of respiratory distress, if somebody's traveled to this country, yeah, if you go see them in a room, definitely put on a mask, which was maybe an N95 mask or maybe just a surgical mask that didn't really keep anything out. It was very laxed. And as it quickly progressed to, okay, didn't matter where you were coming from, travel history didn't matter. And it didn't matter if you were, well, actually, it still mattered if you were symptomatic. So once it changed to symptomatic, then it became like, okay, it's time to wear some gear. And then one of the companies I work for, Envision, when they're a national physician employer group. So when they started having a lot of exposures across the country, maybe more in California, they told us up front, we've had 50 providers quarantined. It's time to wear complete PPE. They put out an email saying, so PPE is personal protective equipment which means a mask, typically an N95 mask, goggles or a face shield, because if you get any of it in your eyes or, splashed on your face, that's how you can get it. And, preferably some kind of a hood or a headgear, because it can live in your hair. And
Mm.
then a disposable gown on top of your scrubs when you go into a room. And booties on your feet, which, it's not critical, but booties would help.
How does
So
booties help? You're throwing a lot out that like we're totally like, in your hair. How long does it live in your hair? And what is it? A platelet of it? What, how does that break down?
right. So it's a virus. It's coronavirus.
Hmm.
And I don't know how long it lives in your hair. There's a lot of information out there about how long it lives on cardboard and how long it lives on metal and how long it lives on wood or paper bags. But hair and clothing, I think people are mostly estimating maybe 4 to 8 hours. That's why. So whenever I come home from work, I have to go straight into the shower, hot water, soap, wash, just to get it all off forearm hair and this hair.
And it's a protein in the protein family, and it doesn't like suds. I'm just quoting what
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, like as far as I think I know what I've heard the same thing. It's like it's easily broken down by detergents. It is a protein. It's broken down by detergents. Lots of suds break it down. Hot water, soap, and obviously bleach and disinfectants will disrupt its membrane and destroy it basically.
Mm.
So what I have to wear has evolved. So initially it was wear a mask if you're going into a room with somebody who is suspected, and now it has rapidly evolved to we're wearing an N95 mask with a surgical mask on top, with goggles, with a face shield on top, with some kind of a headgear, a hood.
Yeah, I've been looking at your pictures, but I'll put a couple in here. It's looking very like
Yeah.
wartime more and more as
Yeah,
you go.
yeah. Now at one of my hospitals, we're getting Tyvek overalls, which is a whole jumpsuit with a hood that we wear the whole shift, and then on top of that a gown. So everything's like now double layered. So 1 to 2 masks, goggles and face shield. After your scrubs, the Tyvek, and then a robe, disposable gown on top of that, and
And
the boot,
how?
so
Mhm.
you don't have to wipe down your shoes and destroy your shoes with every bleach wipe. Am I right? Every time you wear them, you're gonna bleach wipe down your shoes. Booties will help just save your shoes, I guess.
Got it. And then when you go in a room, are you in a room full of infected people, and then you have to re-robe? Because they were saying things like when you test, they had to do a hazmat every test, and it was going to take forever when they're doing those car lines. Is that similar, or do you work in like a very infected space, and then do you change the wardrobe? How does it work?
See, that part's interesting because there's not, when there was plenty of gear and it was just one patient that you're worried about being contagious that gets put on droplet precautions. Like if you have a patient that's put on droplet precautions because this virus is big enough to be passed through droplets, so like saliva, respiratory particles, that we didn't have that many of those patients. So yeah, you'd fully gown up just to go in the room and then take everything off in the ante room. The patient would be in a negative pressure room, the special room to suck out all the air. You'd go in through a special entrance called the ante room, gown up fully in there, then go in the room, then take off your gown in the room and your gloves, and then come out of the room and then take everything else off in the ante room and come out. But now we are in an infected area where everybody's infected, right? So every hospital has to be really aware of how much PPE there is, because we'll run out. If we do that now for every patient, we will run out of protective gear very fast. So it's changed from doing that to gowning up, wearing the Tyvek overalls and then putting that second gown on when you're going in the room and then wiping it down when you come out now, because
Okay.
we don't have enough gear now to just throw it all in the garbage after every time we see a patient, because now it's every single patient.
Sure.
So
And how many do you're working at how many facilities? 3?
3, yeah.
And how many patients are per that you have in each one right now?
Right. So it's funny because in general, our volume at all the ERs has gone down. Like volume's gone down because we're telling people stay home, don't come in. If you have an eye, all the minor stuff people would come to the ER for, we're like, don't come in for that. If it's minor, stay home. But everybody who is coming in with symptoms of COVID-19 infection, right? So I'm just short of breath. I have headaches. I have a fever. I have a stomach ache. I have diarrhea. And so we're still seeing a good volume of these patients. So overall, we're still busy. We're not as busy as we were when it was all comers, but we're still busy with everybody being an infected patient with some symptom of the infection. Did that answer the question? I feel like I got lost there on the way.
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack. So is there hundreds of people in ER, thousands, or is it like, because the news and the media is really hard on us to understand. It's like
Right.
everything. Like I saw that documentary on London building that huge facility with 5,000 beds in a fortnight, and it was amazing. And
Right.
you're like, okay, what? And in New York, from Los Angeles is like D-Day. It's like happening right now. It looks like it's going crazy, and we're supposed to be right behind it. It's just hard with all the information. That's why I wanted to talk to you, because you're in it. You're in the hotspot. You're in the hospital, working at 3 hospitals.
Right.
I'm trying to get an awareness of it.
Yeah. So if I work an 8 to 10 hour shift, like last night I worked a 10-hour shift, I probably saw 30 patients, maybe 20 to 30 patients with it. And they'll range from super duper sick, needing tons of attention, needing oxygen, needing to be put in the ICU, to medium sick, where they're short of breath, but their pulse ox is 92, 93. So they're borderline. We really want everyone to be above 95 when they go home. To very mild, my chest hurts, I'm short of breath, but my pulse ox is normal. And I walk them around the room and I'm like, hey, you're not really, you feel like you're having trouble breathing, but you have no objective trouble breathing. So until you get to that objective point, I'm going to send you home. So maybe 20, 30 patients per shift. So the volume's lower than usual, but the number of patients is higher. So New Jersey's now at 22,000 cases. I think we're in that ballpark now. Bergen County has 5,000 cases. That's the number 1. I'm in Essex County. That's number 2. We have about 3,000 cases, and the rest is spread out across the state. I forget what New York's at. So,
Manhattan.
Manhattan and Long Island now, and the surrounding Westchester County, right? So it's like the greater New York area is hit hard. So we're seeing more. So overall, patients are down, but COVID infected or exposed patients up 20 to 30 per shift. And New Jersey is doing what New York's doing. We're opening up 3 field hospitals with beds. The first one, I think, is just opening yesterday or today in Secaucus, and 2 more are opening up. And they're going to have 24-hour physicians in there. And I'm not sure what they're going to be doing there, but they're going to, I guess, unload some of the intensity of the hospitals. 2 of the hospitals I work at are tertiary care centers, which means they're 500-bed hospitals. They're big. They're all filled with COVID infected patients. So, right. So maybe like, let's say one of the hospitals I work at has 150 admitted people with COVID. So half the beds. And then of those, maybe 30 to 50 are on ventilators. The other hospital, we have 50 ICU cases. 40 of them are on ventilators, and total like another 100 admitted patients with COVID. And that's how it's going. So it's those are kind of the numbers we're seeing.
And do you feel like, how are you maintaining? It's just all your training and all these years have made you ready for this point, or you're exhausted, or you're not freaked out about yourself or your own family? How are you dealing?
Yeah, I mean, at first I wasn't freaked out. It takes a lot to freak out a physician in general. Like physicians in general, you go through this residency training where you're working, at least when I trained 10 years ago, you're working 60 to 80 hours a week, nights, days, weekends. The profession owns you, right? You're trained so that the profession owns you. So you're not like, That's what that training's for. That 3 to 5 years of training, whether you're an ER doctor or internal medicine or surgery for 7, 8 years, your physician, it's like boot camp for 3 to 5 to 7 years. So when you come out, you are comfortable with anything. So it takes a lot to make a doctor nervous. So an ER doctor also, we see what? Gunshot wounds, knife wounds, heart attacks, strokes, right? So you're kind of used to that increase in adrenaline, drop in adrenaline, increase, drop, the whole shift. So you're kind of there. So when we heard about the virus coming, most of us were like, not worried. We weren't worried. It took a lot. All my friends across the country were just like waiting, just kind of waiting, not impressed, not worried, not like overreacting like a layperson would to like, oh my God, a virus is coming. We're going to have to quarantine. We were kind of like, we'll see what happens. But now that it's come, it's overwhelming. It's definitely overwhelming. I don't think you get overwhelmed until you have patients coming in that you know are probably going to die, right? So you have a 70-year-old guy with heart failure who comes in, and his respiratory rate's in the 50s. His oxygen saturation's in the 70s, which is, typically something we consider not really compatible with living too long. And he's comfortable, but he's blue. His lips are blue. His fingers are blue. And you know that his chances of getting through this are not that great. And what do I do? What do I do? What do I tell him? What do I say? I don't know. That the more of those that you see, the more unnerved you become. You become unnerved when you can't fix people.
Right.
That's when it starts getting scary. And that's where we're at now.
Have you been watching it in the media, or you got no time for it?
I watch the media just to hear how it's being, I watched Donald Trump's speeches. I watched Cuomo's speeches just to kind of see. I watched Bill Murphy, he's the governor of New Jersey, just to see what they're putting out there, how the law, because there are laws changing now. They're actually putting laws into effect that are changing and going to affect how we practice. They've, Cuomo suspended supervision of physician assistants by physicians. So that's a change in the law. And I think there's even some tort reform going on that is going to affect things. So yeah, I watch the media for sure.
Do you think they're making it worse, or it's worse than they're making it, or what's your perception from being hands-on?
That's a good question. And initially I thought they might have been exaggerating, but now I think they're accurate. I think it's as bad as it sounds. I have physician friends that work in New York City that are the shifts they tell me about, like intubating 8 people in 8 hours. That's a lot. Like putting 8 people on a ventilator in 8 hours is a lot. To be over. My friend at New York, at a hospital in Queens, there's a low healthcare literacy there. People were not self-quarantining. They would come into the ER for their usual complaints. They'd spend 6 hours in the waiting room next to other people, close to each other, no masks on their face, just exposing each other. And at one point she got up and yelled out, if you're not sick, go home. And only 2 people took her up on it, and the rest of them stayed. So, when you're in those places where it's tight quarters, people live on top of each other. There's, very, very, very densely populated, and they don't have good healthcare literacy. They don't really know what it means to self-quarantine or the 6 feet of distance away. They don't really get what's happening. You're in trouble. Like you're in big trouble. Those hospitals they're the reason why the peak's going like this and not flattening, because everybody's getting sick at the same time. And the hospitals
it's overwhelming the system.
Yeah, it's overwhelming the system.
And how much a lot of this argument or questioning about it is old versus young. Are you seeing just every type and the rates of recovery? Have you seen recovery yet? Or are you just into the sickness? Like there's this thing where it's like, oh, I'm young, I don't have to worry, or I don't have conditions. And then it's like, no, that's not true. Like people that are like athletic are dying. That's another one to clarify or to get your take on.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Do you have 30 seconds so I can run and plug in my computer? It's about to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to run.
I want to know what's on off camera that you keep looking at.
I was going to try to secretly text my 17-year-old to help me plug in my computer. That's what I was looking at, but he didn't answer the text. So
You can save a life, but you're having a hard time with your computer.
there. Okay, we're good now.
Perfect.
What were you saying? Oh yeah, young and old. I'll tell you, one of my hospitals, 3 people have come off the ventilator and are gonna go, they're gonna go home. That's the first good news we've heard.
Older or younger patient?
I don't know how old they are. I don't know how old they are. And my other hospital, I was talking to the ICU team, and it's like a lot of old people on ventilators, but a lot of middle-aged people, so a lot of 50 to 60-year-olds on ventilators. But then we have these outliers of a couple of 30-year-olds on ventilators, a couple of 40-year-olds on ventilators. Now they say that there's usually some underlying disease, diabetes, asthma, even obesity is putting people at risk. But then there's 1 or 2 of these cases that we hear about that we have at these hospitals where they have no medical problems. And they're on a ventilator, and nobody can account for why their immune system is weaker and why they're sick. I don't think we know yet, but yeah. So in general, I'm paranoid. Like, I'm very healthy, but I still feel like I have to do a lot to make sure I stay healthy.
Yeah.
I'm giving the kids all kinds of vitamins, vitamin C. I'm giving them zinc, magnesium. We're drinking hot tea every day, and I'm doing what is supposed to keep your immune system strong so that this virus doesn't come in and just destroy you. And we're all healthy. Like, nobody in my family, we have no medical problems. But
are your kids worried about you every day, or how's that going?
No,
your family life.
Yeah, I think my husband's worried that I'm going to come home and infect everybody, but no one else is worried. Everybody else is pretty calm and cool. The kids are calm and cool. They're not worried. They watch the news. And they're just kind of taking it all in.
Do you see light at the end of this? Do you see something? Do you think that they'll come up with something, or they're learning more as they go on how to stabilize, or it's just all up in the air and just survival mode for everyone right now?
I think it's survival mode for everyone, and I'm hoping herd immunity kicks in, where we develop enough antibodies in the community that we don't get sick. Because can you imagine going through this again in the fall?
No.
Like, that's what I can't imagine. I can't imagine doing this now and then doing it again in 5 months. Like, that doesn't bode well. So is this thing going to hit us this hard again? Like, it's not leaving. It's going to be it's out here now. It's not going away. So what do? Do we all develop antibodies and then we're safe, or not? And I don't think anybody knows yet. We know yet.
Do you think summer's going to slow it down, or there's no hope for that?
There should be hope for that. I mean, that's why the flu season kind of peaks in the fall and drops off by the spring. Theoretically, the heat, the warm weather is supposed to make it kind of go away. So yeah, I'm praying for the warm weather to kind of make this just kind of quiet down and disappear.
When do you go back? What's your next day? Tomorrow?
No, tonight. I work
tonight.
Yeah, and I work tonight.
And you're going to which 3 spots, 1 spot? What's tonight look like?
Tonight's it's always 1 spot at a time. Yeah, it's tonight one night for 10 hours. So I'll go at 9 and I'll be done by 7 a.m.
Wow. There's a lot to ask you, but then there's too much to ask you. So I'm just going to stop for a little while and maybe check back in with you in a couple of weeks. But it's fascinating. I really don't, we have weird perception of it in Los Angeles right now.
Yeah, what's all that there?
The friends that are, it's funny because people that are more like kind of crazy have been really good with it. And the ones that have been, I think it becomes like, what's your belief in God right now? Do you know what I mean? You get to test that to the utmost to see, and who's good in a fire. Some people are losing their minds. They're staying home. They're watching CNN and they're not going outside. And they go into like the grocery store, like, Road Warrior. They got gloves and things and everything, you know what I mean? And then there's I'm just hiking a lot, staying away from people, overly washing the house and in the hands, and just trying to create some sort of cardio, meditate so I'm not stressed out.
Yeah.
And just, it's hard to have no human interaction, which I haven't had none, but I stayed my distance from friends of mine that I had the same crew that we hike every day or we walk for 2 hours. Just to like be outside. But They've taken away our hikes. We can't go on the traditional hikes in my neighborhood. Every park's closed. Everything's done. It's just like grocery stores, or what are you doing here?
Right. That's hard.
Yeah,
That's really hard.
that's what's up. But I think they got scared of the New York data and they shut us down really quickly.
So if they see you, like if you go outside, would you get stopped and would somebody find
No,
you?
not at this point, but you see a lot less people out, a lot less people. Construction's going on. Trash is coming. That's it. Like this, it's just like grocery store, home, and then a few people doing the fitness thing,
Right.
But they hit it so hard. I went to my hike, which normally has 6 people, and there was like 150. Next day, our mayor was like, parks and beaches are closed because there was that thing in the news that trended where the whole beach looked like, Coachella.
Wow.
Everyone went to the beach that one day and shut down all public parks, tennis courts, all that kind of stuff. It's just one and done. So now we have to invent hikes, like where we'll go to streets we know that are safe to like walk up the mountain and have enough room to not get hit by a car.
Right, right.
But that's all I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep a level head, and being sober and having those kind of tools is good now because like you're calling people and walking them off ledges. There's a lot of people that are just kind of losing it. And most of the people that are losing it are watching a lot of media.
Yeah, right. So
They're just like, and I think CNN, they're pretty good at freaking people out.
Yeah, I
The
totally
Foxes
agree.
and CNNs are just like, there's
Yeah,
got to be a middle,
right.
It's
Yeah.
so dramatic.
Yeah. It's hard. I watch it sort of as like, let's see what the entertainment is tonight and let's see like how they're going to spin this.
Yeah.
So I know when I watch it that it's kind of a manipulation, kind of a ratings thing, kind of
it's a show.
Scared. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll watch it just for that fix sometimes because I'm like, what are they saying this time? What are they gonna say?
Mm-hmm.
And then compare it to what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I wake up in the morning and I look at the John Hopkins numbers and I'm like, okay, a lot of cases, not a lot of recovery, death is rampant. And then you're like, how come the USA is is it that we have so many tests right now? Because our numbers just rocketing. It was like 15,000, 50,000. Now it's like 220,000 and a million cases. And China's still at like, what is their report? It's like 100,000 or under. And you're like, I don't know who's telling the truth. I don't know what the tests are. I don't know what the recovery is. That's why it's good to hear from you, because people are just like, you get it, you die, and it's like, doesn't matter how old you are. And you're like, well, isn't there people coming out? And then I have friends that had a lot of friends go to Fashion Week, and they described what was the worst cold where they felt like they were going to die. So a lot of people in that whole fashion world went through maybe COVID earlier, because they said it was like this deathly flu, which was, when was Fashion Week? I forgot, in New York. It was supposed to be a rampant time.
I'm making it up. Is it February?
I don't know. But people described it sounded like they went through a tour of this.
Yeah. And they all did well. Like, are these people now that like?
Yeah, they did, but they said it was awful. And you're like, it was nothing like the flu I ever had. But this is secondhand information. It's not firsthand. Like, I don't have any friends that are currently with it, and I have friends that are powerful enough. It seems like, the joke is like, if you want to get a test, just cough on an actor, because like rich and powerful people are getting tested, even if they haven't even had one symptom. But other people are like, having a hard time.
Right.
I just wanted to go to a general practitioner just for a checkup, and I was switching. I'm right in the middle of this, and absolutely no one's meeting anyone about anything. They're like, no, we can't meet you for like a checkup.
No.
So you just wait, But yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to keep a level head and talk to people who know. And I look at the Hopkins numbers, which is like, it's kind of just a lot of cases and 190,000 recoveries. And then our numbers, I don't know how many tests we're doing a day in the US, but it seems like we get 20,000 new results a day at this point.
That's right. That's how it looks. What was I going to tell you? I was going to say something. I'm half asleep and I forgot. It was about what you were saying. The testing. I lost my train of thought.
Testing numbers, the data of all these countries and places. You wonder who's telling the truth.
Right, that, and I totally agree with you on that. I think I'm kind of skeptical. I'm like a educated skeptical. Listen to all of it and kind of figure out what's consistent and what's kind of I don't trust that.
Yeah.
I listen to the news the way you do. And the other thing I want to tell you, I have two, I know, so I have an ER doctor friend who just tested positive. She's
Okay.
super healthy. She, young, healthy, thin, no medical problems. She tested positive yesterday. Yeah. And so her symptoms are her fever spiked to 103 and she's got a massive headache. She's like, it's the worst headache I've ever had in my life. No shortness of breath. She's gently walking every day. She's not doing any heavy exercise. She's just kind of like going out a little bit and taking a walk, coming back. And I'm going to check on her today. Yesterday, she sounded great. And she has a friend who is an ICU doctor who's got COVID pneumonia. And she's also doing okay, no medical problems. You know, when I say young and healthy, I mean late 30s, early 40s. I think that's the age group they're in. And she's just doing okay. She's got this regimen where she's taking vitamin D, vitamin C, selenium, zinc, excuse me, hot lemon water every day, and basically just boosting her immune system as much as she can. And she's gonna, let's track them. I think they're gonna do great.
Yeah, I want to check in on it. What do you say to the people? Some of my friends are like, "Yo, this is ridiculous. Why don't we just get this so we're ready for the next one?" What do you say to that guy?
I mean, there's some truth to it. I had another ER doctor friend who's working in Florida who's just like, I should just lick a surface with COVID and just get it over with. He's like, I just want to get it over with, get exposed, and like be done with this. I can't take the anxiety. Hold on.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm not
Is that your ER ring?
Sorry about that.
It's okay. I don't think I could copyright that music.
My computer is very.
That was awesome. I don't think I could copyright that on the show. We'll see where that goes. So wait, what do you say to that? Like, is that the most ignorant thing, or is that like, well, the biggest thing is probably protecting you guys from having too many patients at the same time, right? To spread that out. That's the goal.
That's right. That's the goal. If the hospital gets overrun, it'll be crushed. So that would be bad. And I'm terrified. Like, I don't want to get it because I'm scared.
Well, how many people would lose help? Like, you help so many people, that would be bad for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's brave that somebody's like, let's just get it and get it over with and be done. That's brave. I'm sort of like, how about we not get it? How about it just goes away? Like, I don't want to go through worrying about whether I'm going to get pneumonia and die. I feel like I'm young and healthy, right? But what if I'm not? What if I'm not as healthy as I thought I was? I don't know. What if I'm susceptible because of my genetic predisposition and this is going to knock me out? Like,
what ifs, I think at this point in time, the what ifs are just too overwhelming. Like, I can't, you know what I mean? I just got to go breathe or go for another 2-hour walk. I'm going to bug you again soon. And thank you for, answering all this stuff.
Yeah, I hope that was helpful.
Oh yeah, I think it was very helpful. It's good I don't know anyone that's in the room and anyone that's on the ground, period.
Okay.
All I have is just like word of nonsense.
Yeah.
You're doing it. You're touching them. You're in there. You're doing this. You're seeing this.
Yeah. So I can tell you like maybe two more stories. Like I had a couple of young people as patients that worked in the city as clinician researchers at one of the big academic institutions, and they live in New Jersey. They were both slightly overweight, and they both had a remote history of asthma. Their asthma hadn't acted up in 20 years. They were both in their mid 30s. And they were just sick enough to be admitted to the hospital. They were both like breathing too fast, just looked kind of bad. And their pulse ox, that's the oxygen level, was just like at 91, 92. And because we weren't full, I was like, you are sick enough to be admitted. And I, so what put them over the edge is if they were slightly out of shape and overweight, so not like cardiometabolically, healthy, fit, and that remote history of asthma, even though it hadn't acted up in 10, 15 years, did that put them at risk? Was it the two together? And are they going to be okay? I got to track them down and find out, I admitted them to the hospital. I just have to find out, are they going to make it out okay? I had diabetics, the last couple of nights I've had diabetic men in their early 50s come in who look like they look sick, but they're not sick enough. So they're just that borderline. Their pulse ox is 91, 92. They're breathing a little fast. They look a little clammy and sweaty. And I'm like, you're just not sick enough to be here. You got to be sick at home. and
Yeah.
that made them uncomfortable. One of them was like, please keep me here, please. And I'm like, I can't
Yeah.
give you a bed. You're good. You're too healthy. I'm like, you have to do this, 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 and this. And if you, and this is what I learned from one of my doctor friends. I was like, how do you know with these borderline cases, who's sick enough to come to the hospital? So he said, I tell the patient to do this. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 9, 1,000, 10, 1,000. If they can do that without getting winded, they're going home. And if at home they can do that without getting winded, they stay home. And I say to them, as soon as you can't do that, if you do that and you can't get through those numbers because you're winded, then you come back and we'll take care of you. So
I
that's
love
what
it.
now I'm telling people to do that. And I feel like that might reassure them. It gives them something to focus on.
Yeah.
Like a measure. Maybe they need that because they're like, how do I know when to
Well,
come
we're
back?
all self-diagnosing it. I'm like, I feel a mild headache that maybe, you know, I talk to all my friends, we're all doing crazy shit like that, like feeling your headache. I'm like, nope, not there. You know what I mean? Just crazy.
Right. Like
It's
I
just
think I might be
crazy.
getting it or not.
Yeah. So do you think it's good to be out like exercising and getting sun and staying away from people and staying clean, not touching stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you wear when you go to the grocery store? Are you wearing anything?
I'm not, but I'm also, if there's like way too many people in line and there's that whole gas mask end of the world shit, I don't go. I go when there's like 4 people, and then I just kind of stay away,
Right.
and then I wipe down stuff. Sometimes they like over wiping down groceries, even when I get it, I put it all away and like wipe the
Right.
counter down. Like,
Yeah.
it's a
Right.
process.
Yeah, it is.
I have this ritual when I go out in the morning where I wipe all my keys and all my stuff, the door handle in my car and the steering wheel and all the stuff, and then it's ready for the day. It's
Right. And
kind
that's
of
what I'm
like
doing.
psychotic and weird.
Right.
It's like my hands are dry from this overwashing. I'm getting like emphysema or something. What's that called? That dry skin itch thing from
Yeah.
overdoing it. But
Right.
it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm wiping down, and I'm not a germaphobe. So you're not a germaphobe either.
No.
So for us, we're like, geez, we got to do this. Like for the germaphobes out there, they're like, I've been doing this the whole time.
Yeah.
But for us, we're like, this is like a lot. And
Does this do anything when you go like that, or is it in the fabric anyway? So if you wipe your eye with your shirt, is that just as dumb as doing that?
probably,
Probably,
yeah.
because it just draws into everything.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah. My germaphobe friends always take the corner of a clothes thing and they do that. They've been doing that forever.
Yeah, that's not going to help them. I think they're going to have to take like maybe a brand new Kleenex out of a box and then do that, and then throw the Kleenex in the garbage. That's the only way they can not infect themselves.
Got it. I'm going to check in with you again. I don't want to keep you. I want you to rest. And thank you for helping all these people. I'm so glad that, there's people like you that aren't losing their minds and are just staying focused.
Yeah, no, I'm fairly chill. I mean, I'm having a couple of panicky moments, but overall,
I want this to get to the other side. Who knows how long that's going to be.
I want a celebration. Oh, and the other weird thing I was going to say is that last thought is that, we've been, if I feel like for the last 10 years, when you say hello to someone, you kiss them and you give them a hug.
I know, right? Yeah.
And I don't think we're going to bounce back from that. I think it's going to be like,
no, my friend said the other day, who's older, that's been through the AIDS crisis and all these things. He said, there's no return to the world we knew. And this isn't negative, but the psyche will never be the same, no matter what, it's going to be a new world. We're never going to just be like, get back to it and forget. Irony is we're on Zoom right now, which is like the millennial and the kid dream, to be this disconnected shit. And it's almost like a higher spirit going, are you sure? Because now it's all you can do. And you're like, I don't like this at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no humanity in it. And I wonder what the long term of that is. The separation is so weird.
Yeah, like that part's making me kind of pessimistic about where this is going.
It's like, careful what you ask for. Now you live on Zoom. You're 1,000% in like, the Jetsons. Welcome to the new world. And God,
I don't like that.
No, none of us do.
Yeah, none of us people our age, I think, are that excited about it at all.
No.
I'm not. But
stay safe, stay healthy, and I'm going to hit you and check in again. I want to hear more stories. And thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Thanks, Patrick. It was nice talking to you.
Bye.
Bye.